Breaking right now, civil war has broken out at GB News over bosses allowing the lockdown-loving, jab-pushing, mask-shagging Dr Hilary Jones on its screens in another sign that the channel is moving much closer to woke ITV, something, of course, that I have been saying for many months. The ex-Good Morning Britain doctor appeared on GB News' breakfast show this morning with Eamon Holmes and Ali Costello to talk about driving Brits towards pharmacists rather than GPs. Watch.
7% of GPs are saying that it's unusually busy now. It's winter. We see more illnesses in winter. This year is particularly bad. 77% of GPs are saying this is putting undue pressure on surgeries, and a third of them are saying that they spend up to an hour a day seeing what they call minor illnesses. Now, minor illnesses are, as you say, things like coughs, sinusitis, sore throats, earache. These are things that could much more quickly be seen by a pharmacist, a trained pharmacist. So, as the pharmacy...
I agree with you there, but what I've noticed as an interviewer over the past few years is that everything, if in doubt, the government approach is always go to the chemist, go to the chemist.
Sure.
There must be a limit to what the chemists can do. There
is. And that's why Asda Pharmacy has introduced a very useful aide-memoire, which is called Issue Is. Now, Issue Is stands for I infected insect bites. These are common. These are things that the pharmacy can easily deal with without you having to wait hours and hours or days at the GP.
Okay, this is nuts. This is seriously nuts. Number one, I feel like I'm watching ITV. I really do. Number two, GB News viewers understand that that man should be on trial. He shouldn't be promoting any health messages to the wider population after the shit he put us all through over COVID. But of course, GB News is full of establishment shills now, like Andrew Pearce, who couldn't help himself but gloat over his employer taking on his old buddy, who, remember, was recently sacked from GMB, and Lorraine Kelly. He wrote, great to see popular TV Dr Hilary Jones, ex-GMB, on GB News. More, please. He's trusted and loved by viewers. Oh my God, give me a fucking break, Piers. Do you think we are stupid? Trusted and loved by viewers? He's not. You are so out of touch. This is the deranged doctor desperately trying to dismiss health concerns linked to the jab, for example.
Other people, all the clinical trials, the European Medicines Agency, our own MHRA, the WHO, 17 million people who've been vaccinated in Europe and in the UK. All the data shows that there's no causal link, no evidence at all that these blood clots are related to the vaccination.
He was wrong, so wrong. There have been suggestions by some that Dr Hilary's own recent health concerns could be linked to the jabs he worshipped. Watch.
We don't see any data at all showing there's evidence of a link between the vaccine and blood clots. I'd like to reassure people that the evidence is that the vaccine is safe.
You've had a health diagnosis of your own. It was a real scare, wasn't it, Hilary?
I had a little bit of pneumonia and pericarditis, which is an inflammation of the membrane around your heart. The evidence is that the vaccine is safe.
Now, look, the problem is Hilary lost all credibility even before the vaccine thing. I know this for a fact because he was doing some work at The Sun at the time, and he was getting calls from like the chief medical officer and everything. So he was like effectively a propaganda parrot. But it got to the point where he even advocated for people to wear those masks, those face nappies that didn't work, while swimming in the sea. We are on a mission to 700,000 subscribers. So I need you to do something for me right now. It is free. It is easy. It is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet. And it is the best way to support Outspoken. We're totally independent, by the way. No big tech backing, no billionaires pulling the strings. And if you turn on the bell, you'll get alerted to all our new videos.
Risk outside is so low. Is a mask necessary?
I think Spain are worried because of infection rates. They're worried about their health services being overwhelmed. And they want the message to be out there that even on a beach, if you're looking at those pictures that we've just seen, if you're on a crowded beach, there's a risk of transmission. And in theory, if you go swimming in the sea, you should be wearing a mask.
Oh, my God. So let's get to the civil war now, Because if you have followed this show, you will know that there is no love lost between Andrew Pearce and his ex-co-presenter on Britain's Newsroom, Beverly Turner. She was totally right on all of the COVID stuff right from the start. That's actually how we became friends. And she posted on X, and good on her for this because she's risking her job, really. News channels build trust over time by listening to viewers and striving for truth, even if that means saying the opposite of all other outlets. Some people are now totems of being wrong, bought off by drug companies, or too cowardly to report the truth in case it harmed their career. Dr. Hilary Jones was wrong on TV every day for 2 years. He unnecessarily scared millions of people, breaking up families via fear and causing untold death and injury by amplifying COVID risk and peddling the mRNA onto all age groups. Everything he said during that time was based on propaganda rather than scientific evidence. I'd be thrilled to see him behind the GB News desk talking about his own recent diagnosis of pericarditis whilst explaining the statistical link between that condition and the jabs. I'd be thrilled to see him apologise to the nation for the significant role he played during that time. I'd be thrilled to interview him about why he ignored true infection fatality data and the evidence within Pfizer's own 2020 trials. But otherwise, in my view, he should not be welcome in a building which prides itself on freedom and truth. Another GB News presenter, Ben Leo, posted, "Not sure he's loved by the viewers." This was a direct reply to Andrew Pearce, who contacted me. "I remember trying to doorstep Hilary during the height of COVID after I'd just joined GB News. His behaviour during that period was questionable, to say the least. Does he still think we should wear face masks in the sea?" And actually, Ben Leo is absolutely telling the truth. He was actually working as my producer at that time. And we did send Ben to ITV to try and ask Dr. Hilary about his scare tactics during the pandemic. That happened. And that shows you, I think, how much the channel has changed over the past couple of years, because they are now trusting Dr. Hilary to provide their own audience with health advice. I just think you couldn't make it up. It's not just me who's furious about this. From Katie Hopkins. "Are you off your meds, Andrew Pearce? Has your hair starch got in your frontal lobe?" Hilary Jones is a COVID jab monster who has the blood of millions of vaccine injured on his hands. He should be in jail, not a TV sofa. Law or Fiction posted, "He is a disgrace. You can shove your program while he is in it. Dr. Shillery is the nickname for good reason. Helped lock down the country, destroyed lives. How's your heart monitor going? Maybe Dr. Shillery can offer you another COVID jab. Clearly, you have learned nothing." And the one that actually meant the most to me, personally, was from Alex Mitchell. Alex is such a wonderful Scottish man, and I was the first person to put him on GB News. He lost his leg to the AstraZeneca jab. He is such a brave man, an incredible man, and it's one of the proudest things I did at GB News, giving the vaccine injured like him a voice. He is now the patron for the Association for Vaccine Injury in Scotland, and he wrote this reply to GB News. "Just when you thought GB News couldn't get any less relevant, along comes Hill the Shill. GB News were once the media leader in highlighting the COVID vaccine bereaved and injured, and now they are full-on pro-vaccine. What the fuck actually happened to you? I was on your channel numerous times, and I will always be eternally grateful to people like Mark Stein, Dan Wootton, Patrick Christie's, Dominique Samuels for having me on their shows. Is this what your legacy is going to be now? You made your bed, now lie in it. Disgusted with you." To my superstar panel, Peter C. Barnes, Leo Kearse, and Lucy White. But first, quick gut check for the new year. Data leaks aren't rare, they're routine. When a major breach lands, it's millions of records in one blast. Phone numbers, home addresses, logins, sometimes much worse. And the nasty trick, that data gets traded indefinitely. Data brokers and people search sites buy and resell it on loop, so scammers, stalkers, even a nosy employer can surface far too much with a simple search. That's why I use Incogni. In a murky industry, it's the service independently verified by Deloitte. They send removal requests to hundreds of broker sites and private databases, chase the slow ones, and log confirmations as records are taken down. Getting started is simple. Create your account and share just enough to find your exposed profiles. Give Incogni one-time permission to act on your behalf. They launch the takedowns and keep following up so your data doesn't creep back online. The standout on the unlimited plan that I use is custom removals. Spot your details anywhere, so court portals, old company directories, people search results, that type of thing. Paste the exact link into your dashboard. Incogni's privacy specialists take it from there, beyond the automated list. Unlimited links handled by real humans. It's low effort, it works, and it buys genuine peace of mind. They can't target you if they can't find you. So don't wait for the next breach. Go to incogni.com/outspoken now and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/outspoken. Protect yourself, your loved ones, and your future. But now, back to the show. Lucy, this has upset a lot of people. And unfortunately, I do think it really does show the decline of GB News. Were you surprised that they would want to have someone like Dr. Hilary on the channel?
Yes, it's definitely surprising, given how unpopular he is. But I think the fact that GB News are quite selective in who they host anyhow. For example, they won't have Rupert Lowe on GB News. And that just shows you that they are very selective and biased in terms of who they host. But choosing to host Dr. Hilary Jones, I think it is, of course, a mistake. And it's interesting how Bev and Ben, who are both in the Washington, D.C. part of GB News Studios, are more outspoken about this. But I think Bev and Ben are completely right to express their views. And I think a lot of the GB News viewers would agree with Bev and Ben.
Yeah, I mean, Leo Kurz, I don't want to put you in a difficult position because, of course, I do appreciate you were a former GB News host as well, but you are still a contributor to the station. Given that Bev Turner, though, and Ben Leo have spoken out in that way, I think we can credit them because at GB News, as you know, you have to sign up to this sort of pledge that you don't publicly criticize the station. So they're actually putting their jobs on the line to do the right thing. I really hope they're not disciplined for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think most broadcasters prefer it if their employees don't publicly smear the broadcaster. So that's a fairly standard thing. I think this is a sign of GB News's success as it's becoming bigger. It's now the #1, terrestrial news channel in the UK. It's becoming. It's moving maybe a bit more to the mainstream. It's maybe not as esoteric as it was, back in the days when I had a show in there.
It was wild. We were the Wild West, and it was fucking brilliant. That was the thing.
It was really good fun.
It was so good.
So yeah, I mean that's one thing, and also I mean there's two sides to the vaccine thing. I mean, on the one side, I think it's terrible that they were forced on us. They were forced on us by the government and the establishment, and there's no sort of public questioning or dissent permitted. People. I was having YouTube videos taken down. I was being demonetized.
Yes,
I nearly lost my YouTube channel just for talking about it. And that happened on Twitter. Across social media and across broadcasting. And there's some definite things that we're proven right on. I mean, the Lancet letter, that was an absolute, that was a conspiracy theory that came true. The lab leak theory, that was another conspiracy theory that came true. And I think the worst thing is the fact that, these were forced on children, and they didn't benefit children. They actually, the studies are still being done, but they think now that they did more harm than good to children. They were really, the COVID jabs were just there to save, fat and old people. And my dad had the COVID jab. He never got COVID and died. But I mean, he died a couple of years later because he was fat and old. And that's just what happens when you're fat and old. Like, why couldn't we have this? I don't think it would have been, I don't know why we threw the younger generation under the bus to save people who were going to die soon anyway. And I know people lost family members and stuff, and obviously it's tragic. But I just think we could have taken a more, sensible, nuanced approach to it, like Sweden did.
100%.
But on the other hand, you've got to recognize that COVID jabs, did save lives as well.
Well, the thing is, Peter C. Barnes, though, Dr. Hilary, I like that. I saw Lucy Connolly actually tweeted that earlier in response to my post on this. he was leading a hysterical overdrive and he terrified people. And I think it's a really bizarre decision. Are you surprised?
A little bit, I have to admit, but I actually put a lot of this down to the fact that we never actually, investigated how the media behaved over the COVID period in general.
Never.
Like you said, there was a lot of instances where, YouTube was overstepping. There were certain narratives that you couldn't say on the media and all of this kind of stuff. You had journalists down on lists by the Cabinet Office, for God's sakes. I mean, this should have been part of the COVID inquiry. That £200,000 a day inquiry that we had went on and on and on. And yet they got the final report and went, okay, that was it. And it all just ended up on a shelf. This is part of the problem. We never got over COVID. We never held people responsible. We never actually learned anything. And so yet again, these kind of people keep propping up because they were never held accountable for the role they played in the hysterics. And I do put it down to, I think that's a great word, it's the hysterics for it. Because, we know now, obviously, that the masks don't work. We know all of this stuff, but we knew during the period as well. And the media played a big role in us kind of locking down harder, locking down longer, and the long-term impacts are because of the media narrative. I mean, we had the death count on the BBC every night of the week. In what world was the government ever going to be able to pull back or, loosen regulations or whatever when that was how the media was behaving? I mean, we have to start living in reality a little bit and actually say that, institutions like the BBC, GB News, ITV, all of them played a role in the hysterics, and I think, we have to always remember about those who were harmed by the COVID jabs. And let's not forget that the jabs minister, Nadhim Zahawi, is now a member of Reform UK. So I wonder how that's going to go down with that lot. I'm going to imagine not well.
Dan Wootton Outspoken is your no spin, no bias, no censorship outlet for independent news. We have no big tech backing or billionaires pulling my strings, but that does mean I need your support. So please hit subscribe on YouTube, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to Dan Wootton Outspoken on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It's totally free, but allows me to continue my promise to always keep fighting for you.